Oh man, hey, how y'all doing? What's going on? What's going on, people? How y'all doing? I love IG Live. It's so cool. It's so cool. Just killing time. Killing time. You know what I'm saying? Killing time. Uh Man, again, another set of pro tips. We did a great pro tip last week. Actually a few days ago. This is another pro tips from your boy Lupe Fiasco. And I'm gonna keep it real close. If you know a rapper, go get him. Go and tap him. Tell him, just go on, tell him, slide him on over to the IG Live. Today's IG Live is how to battle Lupe Fiasco and win. Not just battle Lupe Fiasco. That's easy. Not just diss Lupe Fiasco. That's easy. But to win, to battle him and win. Okay? So I'm going to give you some pro tips, some step-by-step instructions and tutorials on what to do if you ever find yourself in a position where you have to battle Lupe Fiasco or you want to battle Lupe Fiasco. Okay? So make sure you take notes. Make sure you donate to Adhesia Nutrition. This is brought to you by the good folks. Well, I'm not even going to put Adhesia into this. Just donate to Adhesia. They do great work. Providing nutritional calories in the form of little nice peanut butter packets that they send to areas all over the world, specifically to fight childhood malnutrition, which is one of the major factors and overlooked factors when it comes to development in the developing world. That period of time in the toddler stage, in the infancy stage, where malnutrition is taking place. There is some irreparable damage that can be done, stunted growth, cognitive functions, things of that nature. And it doesn't take a lot to correct it. And Adhesia Nutrition is doing the work in the streets to make that occur. So make sure you donate to them so they can send some packages of peanut butter to them babies so they can develop. Okay, so here we go, y'all. Make sure you get notes. Appreciate it. Thank y'all. If you're here for the vaccination, we'll do that in another live. So I see one of the homies is going crazy. Just do it. I'll debate you on vaccines in another live. This one is specific. You can save the comments. We know you don't like me. I get it. I get it. We're not here for that. So take notes. Take notes. The preamble. This is gonna be quick. This ain't gonna take that long. First, understand that Lupe Fiasco wants to have excellence and greatness attached to everything that his name is involved with. That is my life's mission, to make sure that any and everything and everyone that I come into contact with or am involved with in some capacity is operating at the highest level. That includes my enemies. Right? So if you're one of my enemies, when you catch me and you kill me, make sure that you do it at the highest level of excellence. My dad had a phrase that he used to put it was literally just glued to the wall of our dojo, and it was die well. Die well. When you go out, make sure you go out. Right? So to my enemies out there, if you ever catch me lacking, you know what I'm saying? Make a scene out of it. Like make sure it hits the news, and not just hit the news because it's me. Make sure it hits the news because you blew the whole car up. Like I want to go out amazingly, right? For you and for me, so that you are known for like you took out in such a fashion that people just couldn't believe it, right? So in any capacity, in every capacity in my life, I always push for greatness. Mm-hmm. And in that process of greatness, I want to make sure that my foes and my opponents, whether malicious or competitive or what have you, that they are operating at their best, their absolute best, so that when I do lose, or if I am defeated, that even my defeat was the shit. My defeat was a classic, right? I want my wins to be classics, and I want my defeats to be just as classic, even more classic, right? For me and for you, okay? So, hold on. There we go. We gotta get him. We gotta get this. Yeah, get this dude on up out of here. Okay? So that's why I'm doing this, because I want to make sure that if you do come for me, that you do it because that's what I want. I want to go out in flames. I want to go out in a blaze of glory. I don't want to go out mediocrely, limping out, then fall down and bleed out in the streets. I want to be in pieces when I'm done. Because I would do the same for you. If I would want you to have a demise, the likes of which the world has never seen. I want to paint the street, write your name. So if I would do that for you, then I would want you to, it's called reciprocity. Now, I'm not joking. I'm dead ass serious. But we're not talking about that extreme. I'm just giving you that extreme because that's the way I was raised. Literally, you go into a karate school with "die well" written on the wall. You kind of process that a different way, right? But it just means to go out in style, go out at the heights. So I want my enemies to be well equipped. I want the best of enemies. I don't want. Remember in The Wire, how what was that dude name? How he got shot by the little kid? That was whack. You know what I'm saying? He should have got shot by, you know what I'm saying? He should have got took out by the best. He shouldn't have been just some little kid. But I digress. Snoop should have took him out. You know what I'm saying? It should have been but I digress. So that's just the preface, the preamble. Here are the instructions. Okay, here's what you do. There's four things that you have to kind of constantly keep in mind. Okay? Constantly keep in mind. The first one is intention. You gotta have an intention. You gotta know before you start what you're trying to accomplish. What is the finish line? Right? You have to set that. You have to say, I intend to do X, Y, Z. So that way you have a goalpost that you can direct towards you. I always say that the universe is the best organizer. And if you know exactly what you want to do, the universe will bring you certain opportunities. And if you're prepared, then you can execute. But you got to have that intention. You got to know exactly what you want to do. And then the path will be made plain for you. If you don't know what you're trying to do, then you shouldn't do it. You shouldn't diss Lupe Fiasco. If you don't know what you're trying to accomplish and you have an objective goal at the end of it that's very clear, right? And something that you can hold in your hand, then you shouldn't do it, right? Or you should wait until you figure out what that intention is. But before you write a verse, before you pick a beat, before you create something, just make sure that you have an intention, because the intention should guide what you're trying to do, right? Intention, okay? Second one is authenticity. 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 Authenticity may come across for people with different definitions and has different connotations and meanings, but stick to the core definition of what authenticity means, meaning that it's real. It's real. It's real. It's authentic. You don't want to do a bunch of metaphors. You don't want to do a bunch of hyperbole. You don't want to do a bunch of what you're going to do, what you could do if. You want to do things that either have already been done, right? And things that are actual tangible facts, right? You don't want to, you want things to be authentic. Metaphors aren't authentic. And authenticity is key, right? Part of authenticity is knowing the person. So you have to know Lupe Fiasco. If you don't know Lupe Fiasco, then you'll never be able to have authenticity, and you're immediately kind of crippling yourself, right, in the process, because you're voiding one of the rules and one of the presets that you need, the criterion that you need to successfully, right? Not you can be inauthentic and battle in this, but you're not gonna win. See, that's the difference. If you want to win, you have to be authentic. Right? You have to be authentic, and you have to be authentic to your intentions. All these things kind of bleed into each other, right? Bleed into each other. So you got to have the authenticity. To have the authenticity and the things that you have to be talking about have to be real, that means you have to know the person, right? You can't guess. You can't guess. You're not trying to, what do you call it? You're not trying to force a play or force a move or force a reaction from a person and then operate. I'll tell you why that's not going to work. But if you have the authenticity from the door, you're not fishing for a reaction, because when it's authentic, you don't need a reaction, right? You don't need it because it's authentic. But if you don't know Lupe Fiasco, his full name, then you shouldn't diss him. You shouldn't battle him. You should wait, or you should get to know him. There's no rush. There's no rush. There's no rush. You can get to know him. You can get to know him personally. You get to know his friends. You get to know his idiosyncrasies, his ins and outs, his career paths, things of that nature. But there's a little caveat in that. You know, things that are public knowledge, and this is actually going to be connected to the final step. Things that are public knowledge that you just keep, pointing at or bringing into the thing. So now a lot of people think like, just mention Obama. If you mention Obama, it's already been mentioned. You're not going to out Obama, right? If Obama didn't say anything, then it probably, wasn't as strong of a diss as you may think it may be. But again, I'm not here to do the micros for you. I'm just giving you these macro kind of stances, right? Get to know him. Get to know Lupe Fiasco. Understand who he is. Where he comes from, and what he does. Also, there are people around Lupe Fiasco who don't fuck with Lupe Fiasco, who know me, who know him, who know me. They know me. We've had situations or personal beefs or back and forths, or niggas felt like they didn't get paid enough, or they didn't get paid at all. Try and recruit them to get the data that you would need to be authentic if you aren't willing or don't know how to get to know Lupe Fiasco personally. You gotta decrease the degrees of separation from yourself and Lupe Fiasco to have the authenticity. If you don't do that, then you won't have the authenticity. And then it'll be that cascading effect, right? Thirdly, and this relates to authenticity a little bit, is timing. So it takes time to know someone to get the authenticity. Think about the greatest diss records of all time, the greatest battle records of all time, right? The greatest. Some of my favorite battle disses were Cannabis versus LL Cool J, right? They knew each other, right? They were on songs together, right? There was a direct kind of relationship. Then you had a spinoff where you had Cannabis and Wyclef, but they all knew each other, right? They had actually had, there was that authenticity, that connectivity to it. So I'm going to get into timing, but just want to, again, double down on the most powerful, successful diss records that you've ever heard. They were not lacking authenticity. It wasn't a bunch of kind of, again, metaphor and hyperbole and what you would do if this happened. It's like, no, this is what happened and bam, right? But timing. So into timing. Timing is the third one. So we got intentionality, authenticity, timing. Timing is you got to be able to read the environment. That's part of timing. You say time and space. But be able to read the environment to get an idea of what the schedule is. What is the expectation, right? What are the expectations? Your own expectations. Again, for that intention, it takes time to get to the goal. How much time do you have? And there's also a clock running. If you're doing a diss, and this is one of those micros you choose. There's kind of two ways to diss people. You can diss the person, right? You can just email it to me, right? You can just text it to me, and it'd be between me and you. You're like, oh yeah, you got me, right? Or you could be dissing for an audience. You could be performing for other people, right? With those other people, you got to take into consideration the schedule, the timing, right? How much time do you have before the attention span of the people that you're doing it for don't care anymore? You have to keep that in mind, right? You have to keep that. You have to keep in mind some intangibles as well as some tangibles that are happening. Is somebody dropping an album, right? Is somebody going to make a claim about you? Is somebody who has, a gigantic foot in the world of rap? Are they gonna planning to make a statement? Is somebody gonna do a release date? What time of day is it gonna be? So you got to take all these things in consideration to make sure that you have the optimal timing so that everything is relevant. If you get that wrong, you can have all the authenticity, you can have all the intentionality, but if you're not correct with your timing, sometimes it's patience, meaning that it's a longer timetable. It's similar to like ether or something like that, where it comes months and months after, or something that has to come really quick. Like it has to be that same day. It has to be that same minute. The rebuttal has to be immediate, right? So before people are able to get a sense of what's happening, you're already responding, right? With your authenticity, with your intentionality in place, right? So there's some pregame that needs to occur, of course, but you still have to know when to execute, and you need to know when not to execute. If you get that wrong, you will lose, right? You will lose. You will kill yourself, right? Versus anything that I would do to you. So if you get the timing incorrect, right? Whether it's a short window of timing or a long window of timing, right? Some records, some disses need to be in a longer window. You need to let a lot of time pass, right? You need to let things kind of settle down. And why are you doing that? Maybe because you don't have the authenticity yet. So you need to use that time to do some research and do that, the personal thing, all of that. You need to get close to someone, and that takes time. Okay? So that's part of one of the other reasons, right? Omar, okay, yeah, people throwing up Omar's for the Wire reference. Appreciate it. I apologize, right? So you got to have the timing down correct. Okay? All right? Fourth. Actually, I'm gonna do a 5. I know I was gonna say 4, but I'm gonna do a 5. So I'm gonna keep me honest. Intentionality, authenticity, timing, right? Here's the fourth one. I'm just throwing this in there because it popped up and I feel it serves its place as a fourth one. And then the fifth one is the doozy. Fourth, you can't do it by yourself. You can't do it by yourself. You may not be able to do it by yourself. Now, what does that mean? That doesn't mean you recruit somebody to come in and tag team somebody like what people think that, what me and Mickey did. It wasn't a tag team. That wasn't the case. What I mean by that is that you can't do it by yourself is let me help you, right? Let Lupe Fiasco help you. You can send me what you want to do. I will review it. I won't change it, right? I'll give you the tips. Why? Because I want to lose in style. I want to be destroyed in style, right? And if I can help you do that, I'm an open book, even with my enemies. Don't do the 9. You got the drop on me. Don't use that 9. I want to go out with an AK. Go back to the trunk and get the Draco. I'm not going nowhere. You got me, right? But don't do me with that 25. Man, go on get that 308, man. Make it a mess, right? You know how they say give a dying man his last wish? That's what they talking about. Like in jail when they like, what's your last meal? Like, man, I want a barbecued octopus stuffed with bear meat with a side of whale cheese. Like, that's what the fuck I want. I want to go out tasting something that is so ridiculous that there's nothing else that the world can offer me, right? I will help you, right? This goes out to everybody, everyone. I will send it to me. I will give you tips on how to succeed, right? Especially if I know that I'm not going to respond. So I'm never going to respond to a diss record. I don't even listen to diss records. I didn't listen to Royce's diss record. I didn't listen to anybody else's diss records. I don't listen to them because I don't like to be talked about. So I leave the room. You know, like if I know somebody's talking about me, or like I just leave the room, right? I'll figure the rest out later, right? But I don't listen to my own diss records. I don't listen to when people diss me. I just don't. I don't see the point in it. Like, why? Why would you do that to yourself? Like, doesn't make any sense. But with that said, even though I won't listen to it, I mean, I'll listen to it in that capacity. But if I know I'm not going to respond, like and you really want to win, and I want you to win, you ain't got to do it by yourself. You don't have to do it by yourself. I will help you, right? I'll help you. I promise you. I promise you I'll help you. It'd be amazing. That's why I'm doing this, just to show people, like, if you're going to do it for real and do it to win, right? Make it so I can't escape it, right? Like, I can't even go outside to the point where it's just everywhere, and I just got to deal with it. Like, oh my God, right? Force it. Okay? So that was the 4. Let's just call it 3.5. You don't have to do it by yourself. Maybe it's not as strong, as fundamental as, timing, but you don't have, I'm just throwing it out there. You don't have to do it by yourself, right? So as a matter of fact, let's just omit that as a 4th and just keep it 3, and then we'll go on to the 4. Okay? The 4th one. Okay? I am my greatest enemy. There is nobody out there in the world, nowhere, that can do me like I can do myself. I'm my own worst enemy. It's proven. I talk way too much. I insert myself into things way too much. I go against the grain way too much. I disagree way too much. I bring up too much counterpoint. I always point out the contradiction, right? It's way too much, right? There's nothing you can say that I won't wind up fucking my own stuff up just with the things that I'm going to say. So all you got to do is wait. I'm going to do something that's going to fuck up my career. Like, if you're patient enough, and your goal, if your intention, going back to intention, if your intention is to say, get me kicked out of hip hop, get me canceled by the LGBTQ community, right? To get me politically ostracized, to get my sponsors, to get me removed from sponsorships, to get me kicked off tours, right? To get me to lose my record deal, like to get me, right? To get my Instagram account banned or something like that. Trust me, if that's your intention, don't worry. It's a coming. You could just sit back and watch it. You ain't got to do nothing. You ain't got to pay for no studio time. You ain't got to get beats. You ain't got to get no album artwork done. You ain't got to get your homies together. You ain't got to go get the straps. You ain't got to do shit. Like, it's the easiest win of all time. I will fuck it up for myself. And I have done it. I'll drop a whack album. I'll put out some questionable mixtape bullshit. I'll say something about a sitting president of America. I'll always something. I'll talk bad about a dude who was just finna offer me a deal. I remember I was at a party, and this dude asked me about Coachella, and I was like, man, I hate fucking Coachella. It's the worst festival of all time as a performer. It's far as fuck. It's hot. It's windy. It's dusty. It's weird. And I was like, I did it 3 times. That was like the worst festival experience I've ever had. And I said that in front of the dude who works for Coachella, and he was like, what the fuck? And I was like, hey, I fucked up, didn't I? He was like, yeah, you did. I was like, well, you're right. I wish I could take it back, but it's true. Just like that. That really happened. Like, in real life. Like didn't nobody ask for that. Like no one. He didn't ask for it. I just was like, you know what? Let me just talk about how much I hate that fucking festival as a performer. As a performer, you know. I also it's a compared to other festivals, it's the last. But, you know, I feel there's reasons behind it. You know, it is out in the middle of nowhere and it's hot and it's fucking dusty and the sound is always fucked up and there's layers to it, right? So I'm not just speaking out my ass, but I didn't need to say that in front of the dude who works for Coachella, who spent his whole life at the shit and I didn't have to do all that, you know, like. So, you know, I will put myself in a position to be fucked. I'm doing it right now, right? With the anti-vaxxers and get the vaccine. People don't fuck with that. Lupe fans don't want to hear that shit, man. Y'all don't want to hear that. I know, but you know, I just can't help myself. You know, so even when I'm trying to do something that I feel is positive, I'm going to rub some people the wrong way. Some big motherfuckers too. I'm like, I don't fuck with you no more. So it's in my legacy. It's part of my book, and it's going to continue to happen. This is so fucking be it. If your goal is to get me blackballed, you ain't got to do nothing. Just sit back and wait. And then when it happens, timing, when it does happen, then you promote the dog shit out of it. You say, see. You just keep reposting it. You just keep putting it in. You make it so keep this meme it. Buy bots, pay ads. You know, make billboards out of the shit. Just keep, because most people don't know that the shit happens, and then you just keep it like this. I told you, and then eventually, I'll break. It'll happen. You just let it. Just let it happen. I am my own worst enemy. I'll do it to myself. That's just what it is. So those are the four, right? Intentionality, authenticity, timing, and just let him do it to himself. He gonna do it to himself. The final, palette on top of all this, the icing on the cake of this step-by-step tutorial, which is coming to an end. I'll take a few questions, but this is coming to an end, right? No matter what happens, this is key. So if you didn't write anything else down, I hope you did, write this one down. This is key. This is key. This is the trick. Okay? If you're wondering, this is a trick. Never, ever, ever go first. Never, ever, for any reason, when you're battling Lupe Fiasco, when you're dissing Lupe, this may be different for other people, for other rappers, for other whatever. But when because I'm trying to get you to win against me, right? For me, I'm not. This may not carry over to other people, but for me, I'm just letting you know. It may seem counterintuitive. It may seem like, what? No, you got to bomb first because you bomb first, and I'm telling you, never ever go first. Never go first. If it takes decades, never go first. You have to put me in a position to go first. If you get me in a position to go first, you got a fighting chance. Because remember, you still got to do all those other variables. But if you go first, it's over. It's over. And they're like, no, but I can come back. It's over. It's over. It may not seem you know how there was this. I'll give you a story from Iaido, from samurai culture, from my culture. There was this story of these two samurai, right? Two swordsmen, right? You didn't have to be a samurai to be a swordsman, okay? There was these two swordsmen, master swordsmen, in real life too. This isn't like some anime story. This is like real life. So you had these two swordsmen, master swordsmen, and they were going to do a duel, right? Or if it wasn't at the height of a duel where they're going to kill each other, they were going to do like a real serious kind of call it kumitachi, like a sword battle. And they might have had wooden swords, or I think they might have had wooden swords. But anyway, when they met up with each other to have this battle, they just stood there. Right? They just stood there, checking each other out. Nobody's moving. They're just sitting there looking at each other, looking up and down, seeing, looking. And it's like, time is passing. It's like, yo, did y'all come to fight or fuck? Like, what's going on? Like, what the fuck is y'all doing? Time is passing. But they're two master swordsmen, grandmaster. Like, people still use, like, one of the guys, his style is still being practiced today. They're looking. If I'm not mistaken, it's still being practiced today. Let me not go too crazy. But they're looking at each other. Yeah, they dude style might not be practiced today. Let me just do that. I'm OCD with that type of stuff. I don't want to put some in somebody's name that's not true. But anyway, they're looking at each other. And then they decide not to fight. Like, they don't fight. They wind up not fighting. And they kind of like go their separate ways or whatever. And the reason that they didn't fight, these are two dudes, they could have easily got it cracking, is because they knew that whoever, there was no way to go without getting killed. They had already went through, they had such mastery of their own skill sets and such mastery of the other person that they had already went through every single possible calculation of every move based on every draw, based on every footstep and every posture and every stance. We call them kame. Every kame, every approach, they had already went through in their mind multiple times. So let's imagine like two chess masters show up, lay the pieces out, and then they never make a move. They just get up, shake hands, and walk away. You'd be like, what the fuck? Right? Or one dude says, you won, and walks away. And you're like, what the hell? Like, how? Why? It's because they already knew. Yeah, they had such sensitivity about their skill set that they already knew that if I go first, I'm dead. If I go first, I'm dead. I can't go first. And I can't move until he moves. So never, ever, 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 ever go first. Find a way to put me in a position to bust first. If you don't do that, you're not going to win. I guarantee you're not going to win. Why? But like you said, I could come back on a rebuttal. I could come back in this and come back in that. No. The reason you're not going to win is because my mastery, my grand mastery, is rebuttaling. And it scares me. It scares me how quickly, it doesn't matter. It happens instantaneously. It over long periods of time. It doesn't matter. I'm going to dissect everything that you say if I listen to it. But I'm speaking knowing that I'm not going to listen to. I'm not battling anybody anymore. Like that's not happening anymore because I don't need to. But just to say, if I was, right? And I don't need much, right? I don't need much. I just need because I'm not going to battle you unless I know you. Authenticity. Intention, always very simple. I'm always intentional with what I do. So that's running in real time. That never shuts off. The authenticity, again, following my own rules. I'm not going to even approach you if I don't know you. Right? Third, the timing is going to be impeccable. It's going to be disturbing, right? So I already know I'm going to do all that. I already know how that's going to work. So when it comes to the rebuttaling, I don't need everything. I don't need all of the data because I already got a bulk of what I'm going to do, because I'm not going to invent anything, right? I'm not going to invent anything. I already have 90% of what I'm going to do. The other 10% is just putting it together and knowing that things are going to come instantaneously through the process and like, psh. So for me, it's not difficult. But the rebuttaling is unbelievable, right? It will turn off your TV. And it's going to be done in such a way that you're not even going to be worried about responding, because you're going to be dealing with the rebuttaling personally, professionally, psychically, cognitively. It's going to be that vicious, because I'm not going to, if I am going to respond, I'm not going to play with you. I'm going to win. I'm not going to play with you. I'm not going to do anything to light tap and I choose to go down a path where I'm not doing it for the audience. I'm doing it for you, to you. It's not for an audience. It's to you. The audience doesn't need to hear it, right? So I don't have to worry about that per se, right? That can kind of take care of itself a little bit. So in that process, in the rebuttaling, I'm going to try I'm not even going to try. I'm going to obliterate you. And you're not going to be able to come back. That's why your response isn't going to matter. You have to get me to go first. If you can get me to go first, then you have a kind of a chance, right? If you effectively enact all those other things. So that's it. That's the step-by-step rule. If you don't do anything else, if you think all of it's bullshit, the one thing that you should do is never, ever go first. Never. Okay? So that's it. I love losing. I would love to lose. An example, when I went to, y'all know I play Street Fighter. Y'all know I play Daigo. For me, Daigo's the king of fighting games. He's the king of Street Fighter. It doesn't even matter if he doesn't win a bunch of tournaments. The things that he's done in that space, he's the king. After that is Justin Wong. After that is Takedo. And then after that, it just goes down the line, right? Alex Valle, those cats. But the main guy for me, personally, the dude that I look up to, like, that is the king, is Daigo. I can't beat Daigo. That's in my mind. I can't. It's Daigo, right? You don't go to Daigo to win, right? You go to Daigo to just say you played Daigo. And then you write that down. Like, that becomes like, kids, one day I played Daigo. And they're like, Dad, you played Daigo? That's insane. Like, you played him? That's insane. You're the man, Dad. You're the man. Right? So you don't go in thinking like, I finna beat Daigo. So I got offered to fight Daigo, right? To fight the greatest Street Fighter player of all time, Daigo. And my first response to this, when I got offered this, because I was talking shit about Street Fighter and playing Street Fighter, the first thing that I did, first thing I said was, it would be an honor to lose to Daigo. An honor to lose. It would be more of an honor to lose to him than to win. Winning is not even in my mind. I'm going to just train myself to not make a fool of myself. I'm going to just train up enough so that, Lupe can do a dragon punch on cue, and Lupe knows how to do a hurricane kick, and Lupe can do, he got a couple. I was like, if I could just forget a round, if I could just take some energy off this dude, right? I'm good, let alone a round, let alone a game. I'm not even thinking about that. I'm just thinking like I get to sit across from one of the great grand masters of a craft that I love, that I've been playing since I was a kid. And my first response was like, I would be honored to lose to this dude. Right? And nobody better take that away from me. I hold that L. I literally, to this day, I have my rejection letter from the Oscars up on my little menagerie of things. The rejection letter from the Oscars. Now, yes, there's people who've won Oscars and, done that. I was just so happy to just be even considered, right? That I kept the rejection letter as if that shit was an Oscar. I'm built different like that. Winning or losing doesn't really affect me. It's how you play the game, right? So when I got this offer to play Daigo, I went. I said absolutely. I would be honored. It's on Twitter. It's written. There's no way to. I didn't undelete it. You can go find it. It would be an honor to lose to Daigo, not to play Daigo, to lose to Daigo. When I went in there, I did my little training. Right? Took it serious. We was on the road, bought PlayStations and versions of Street Fighter because I thought we was going to play Street Fighter 4. When we got to the venue, there's like, no, we playing Street Fighter 5, a game that I had never played until I got to the venue, and I sat back there and got smoked. I was back there getting smoked by the devs, by the dudes who play. I was getting, they was like, Lupe cannot play Street Fighter. That's the way they was looking at me. They was at such a level. I'm like, this is my first time playing, right? First, real honest to God, on my great granddaddy grave. And I was getting smoked. 12 old, back just learning playing devs. They killing me, right? So they looking like Daigo is finna kill this dude. That's the way they looking. They looking like Daigo is finna destroy this dude, right? So when it's time for our match, right? I'm playing. I'm getting whooped, of course. And then it's like, I win. I take a game. Take a round, take a game. I'm like, oh, okay. Something was genuinely wrong with my controller. All this on video. Something was genuinely wrong with the controller I was on. So I had to pause, had to swap out controllers because something was wrong. Got a new controller. And it was like, oh, I'm actually playing even better now. Oh, cool. And then I'm all over the place. I'm like, yeah, I don't know how to do footsies. I don't know how to play strategy. I don't know anything about frame rates or frame data. I just have to play off feel because that's just what I know. And it went to the last game, last round, last little bit of energy. I just went for something and I won. You could see Daigo trying to do like some type of anti-air or something like that didn't come out for whatever reason. And I won. And I didn't even know I won. I thought that it was more games to play. I was sitting there like, oh, at least I'm still alive. And I'm sitting there. And they're like, no, dude, you won. And I couldn't fucking believe it. Couldn't believe it. Right? It was one of the greatest moments of my life. Some people say it was fixed. It was this, it was that. It wasn't. It was not fixed. We didn't set it up like that. Whatever was going on with Daigo, whatever was going on with the system, whatever, people thought it was something y'all rigged it to make it seem like anybody can play. None of that shit happened, right? I'm one authentic dude. None of that shit happened. Whatever the situation was that led to me winning was just what it was. But it was the greatest experience I've ever had, man. I cherish it to this day. To this day, it was one of the greatest things I've ever had. But I came in there ready to die. I knew I was going to die. Right? Knew it. But I won. And then I proceeded to think that just because I won that one, that I had a fighting chance in the FGC. And I tell you, the next 2 to 3 weeks after that Daigo match, I lost to every single player and competitor in the FGC. Every single one of them. All of the pros. I played Sonic Fox. I played Alex Valle. I think I played Jay Wong. I got destroyed. in public, destroyed, right? I play LPN on this. Then I play Neo. I can't beat like Neo, the singer Neo. He's an amazing Street Fighter player. He's like, come on, let's play. I got destroyed by Neo. I was just getting cooked. Right? But it didn't matter. I enjoyed it. I loved playing against some of the greats and the legends. Right? Even if I would have lost to Daigo, I would have still went and played all them dudes, because for me, it was just to play the game. It wasn't about whether you won or you lost. But we're not talking about that right now. We're not being sentimental. We're talking about how to battle Lupe Fiasco and win. And that's the formula. It works. I guarantee you it works. It's just a little bit more intensive and a little bit more of a process than just writing a verse. If you just write a verse for me and throw it up on the internet, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. You're not going to win. Your homies are going to be excited. You may be a little bit excited. You know, you might get some response and some reaction, but then eventually all that's going to taper down to nothing. And then it's still not going to, because you didn't have any intention, you didn't know what winning looked like. Right? So you might have won if you would have put up, I want this particular person to say this. But because you didn't have an intention, you didn't even know that it happened. Right? So you couldn't even recognize. Like I can like set goals for you, right? I can say, hey, you know, I'll give you some goals. This is what winning looks like, you know, if you don't have intentions. So again, it goes back to that, like, if you need help, I'll help you. I would love to make sure that all of my competition is operating at the highest level. Notice that I did not mention lyrics. Notice I did not mention lyrics up until right now. The word lyric did not come out of my mouth, because winning has nothing to do with lyrics. In a battle, winning has nothing to do with lyrics. It has nothing to do with punchlines and metaphors and jokes and similes and hyperboles. It don't. Go back and watch your favorite battles. Your URL battles, or the person that you thought won, right? And really look and compare, you know, punchline for punchline. Was it really the punchlines? Or was it something else, right? Was it really the hyperbole and the metaphors and the schemes and all that stuff? Or was it something, another kind of intangible that was being executed? A certain level of intentionality, a certain level of authenticity, a certain level of timing that was happening, right? That was being executed no matter what was being said. A certain level of kind of showmanship, right? A certain level of kind of hand gesturing, things that have nothing to do with the lyrics that are coming out of someone's mouth. The reputation that they bring into the space with them, the pre-gaming that they were doing, right? Their posturing and their how they were on stage, their stage presence, their stagecraft. Nothing to do with the raps. So if you go rap first in a battle because you think that rap is going to save you, or rap is what you're going to win, rapping is the weakest component in a battle. It sounds crazy, don't it? The actual rapping is the weakest component in the battle if you're trying to win. Now, if you're not trying to win, you're going to think that rapping is what you need to do. You just need to be the best rapper. You just need to have the best lyrics. You need to have the best metaphors, and you'll still lose. Like, well, I don't understand that. Like, how's that? Like, what is that? You're so focused on the micro. In a battle, rap is a micro. Micros are subjective. Macros are not. Macros are objective. Meta-narratives are objective. If you don't have a control over both and more of a mastery of the macro, it doesn't matter what your micros are doing. Doesn't matter. People care. People respond in a deep way to the macros. Some people don't even catch the micros. They don't even know what you're saying. I look at battles and I don't even know what people be saying. I don't know what half of what Loaded Lux be saying. I don't know. Mickey say some shit and I do not know what he be talking about. Or Daylight. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Seriously, all ITs. I don't know what you're saying. I don't get it. But then other people might. They're like, oh, I was like, I honestly don't even know. I don't know what's going on. So there's something to that, but they also have macros. They have a macro game that makes up for it and stuff like that, right? You can't just be doing micros all the time. We call it spinning. I call it spinning. Your micros are spinning. So if you ever hear me say somebody's micros are spinning, that's what I'm talking about. But it's the macro components, the meta components, right, that matter. You might not even be able to have a master. You might even know how to do you probably don't even know what micros are. But if you have a mastery of the macros, you'll be able to take the day and win. Again, and win. Not just battle, not just show up to play, right? But to win. So that's that. Any questions? My good sirs, people, you know what I'm saying? Anyone, anything? I'll take a few questions and I really have to go. But I'll take a couple questions for y'all. So what you got? What you got? What you got? Put them in the question box. Put them in the question box. We've got to cycle back through all of this craziness. So we're taking questions starting now. So if you ask something before, I'm not going to look at it. So literally from me talking right now is when you should ask a question. We're going to just take a couple, then I'm going to bounce. See, I'm only responding to like serious questions. Will you reply to a diss aimed at you? No. I don't even listen to the diss records that are aimed at me, let alone reply. I'm very, very specific when I do. And why I do. Why does rap culture have to be this way? This isn't necessarily for rap culture, just to be clear. This is for me, right? You can go out and not do any of this with any other rapper and win, right? You can disregard everything that I just said and go into different, go throughout the culture, right? And just pick a target and then just go for it. Most of the rappers in the space don't have a mastery of that. They don't approach the craft with that type of intentionality, right? It's just raps. Majority of rappers, right? And not just dudes with deals and people that you know, but the majority of the millions and millions of dudes and women who rap, right? They don't really approach it like that. So you're not going to really encounter on the average rap culture somebody who thinks like this about that particular aspect of it. I'm specifically talking about battling, and I'm specifically talking about battling Lupe Fiasco, and I'm specifically talking about battling Lupe Fiasco and winning, right? Not just battling him, not just throwing songs and verses out. Is the best battle rapper in other people's eyes important to you? No. You can't have that type of thinking if you're trying to win. You can respect them, but you can never accept that if you're on the path to winning. If you're not winning Or if you're not if you're just there for entertainment, then that doesn't matter. Then yes, you can say that if you're there to entertain. If you want to be entertained, if you just want to be a part of the conversation, and have something to say and be on the podcast and do this and do that, or on the IG. But if you're actually competing and winning, you can't accept that. Because you've already lost. You know, especially with me. If I think that about you, or you think that if I think that about you, then I lost already. Well, because what's the point, right? At that point, because you've already acknowledged someone having the bestness, right? But in that moment where you're not trying to compete, or you're just trying to be a conversation, everything's cordial, then yes, you can make those kind of claims and have those type of subjective opinions. But if the switch is on, you say, no, I'm finna go into combat with this person, then that person has to be nothing to you. You know, period. That person, it's not even about that person anymore. It's about how do you engage to the point where you just totally consume that individual. So it's not even about them, right? It's not even about that you're trying to play through them, right? They're just another. You actually it becomes like, at that level, when you think about chess, when this is where it gets really nice, and this is why I love nerdy shit. When you look at chess, some people may look at it as, I'm moving my pieces to move my pieces. Another way to look at chess is, I'm moving my pieces to get you to move your pieces in a certain way. So all I'm doing is really moving your pieces. So every turn is me. That's some wicked shit right there. That's some grand mastery level other shit right there, where it's like, I'm not even playing you, right? Because every move that you make is just going to be in response to me. That's why you never go first. You understand? Never go first. But anyway. So we'll take one more and then we're going to bounce. This will be recorded. I'll leave it up. I mean, it's pro tips. So even you guys out there that got the YouTube pages, like there's a couple cats that I know that take these lives and repost it on a YouTube page. Don't do that. If you're going to do that, maybe put up a response, or just at least put a link up to let people know where they can go watch it, because I will ask you to take it down. I'm cool with y'all, getting y'all followers up, and I actually really appreciate people promoting it. But, things like this that we're going to keep up on the IG Live, just let me get it. I appreciate that. I let you eat. Let me eat, dog. Help each other out. Who can stand a chance against you? Anyone who follows these rules. Anybody who follows this framework will not only battle me, but they'll win. If they don't, or if they can't, then they won't. Where we at? Breakfast burrito. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, breakfast burrito. Breakfast burrito. That was it. Pro tips: how to battle Lupe Fiasco and win. Authenticity. Oh, sorry. Number one, intentionality. Intentionality. Yeah, intentionality. It's 1. 2, authenticity. 3, timing. 4, let him do it to himself. Lupe is his greatest enemy. He's going to wind up doing it to himself. All you got to do is just sit back and watch. 5thly, never, ever go first. That's that. So, appreciate y'all, man. Good luck. And peace. And much love to you.